All right, it's time now for our daily polling pit stop, all about the Conservative leadership race. Let's bring in the director and co-founder of DeltaPoll, that's Joe Twyman, for more on this. Joe, good to have you with us, as always. All right, let's start with the latest poll from Redfield and Wilton Strategies. This is all about how the race is being viewed in the Red Wall and whether or not, actually more broadly, the government is taking the right decisions to deal with the cost of living crisis.
Yes, that's right. And what we're seeing in this poll is really a reflection of the national picture and also a reflection of the picture that we've seen in the polling now for some months. Of course, the Conservative leadership election is not among the general public, it's among the Conservative Party members, but certainly among the general public and among the Red Wall. We see that, that Labour are consistently ahead in the polls. In this most recent poll of the Red Wall, Labour have a 15% lead, and it emphasises the difficulty that the Conservative Party are in at the moment. Now, of course, once the new leader is in place, there is potential for change, and certainly the Conservative Party will hope for change, because on these figures and many others that we've seen over recent weeks and months, the Conservatives are not in the kind of position that will lead their leader, whoever that is, to stay in Downing Street come the next general election. So things have to change. But what is also clear in this polling and many other polls that have taken place is that the cost of living crisis is hugely important. Now, this dates back to, all the way back to February of this year, when the cost of living crisis emerged as the most important issue facing the country and the most important issue facing people and their families. And as time has gone on, concern for that has increased. In this most recent poll, 3/4 of people said that they didn't think the government had the right solutions to the cost of living crisis. And again, this is something that that has been consistent. And the Conservative Party candidates at the moment are playing very much to the selectorate that will be voting for them, the Conservative Party members. But their responses, most notably saying, oh, well, no handouts. We've heard that language for dealing with the crisis. That won't necessarily play well with the general public come the winter as fuel payments rise and as fuel use increases. And also it won't play well with these key marginal constituencies, not just in the Red Wall, of course, but in all of those constituencies gained by the Conservatives at the last election that they'll need to hold on to if they're going to maintain their majority.
Yeah, Joe, talk to us about this slogan that's used by the Conservative Party about levelling up. Red Wall voters have been asked about that and their feelings around this idea, and of course this idea that you'll regenerate some of the poorest parts of the country. What are they saying about the way that they feel the parties are actually going to stand by those commitments, and which one will be most trusted?
Well, generally speaking, levelling up is a concept that means different things to different people, but it's certainly not something that has won particular approval with the general public or in the Red Wall. And we see that in the polling, that it's not the case that any one party wins through in terms of their solutions. And really, this is a problem that the Conservatives have made for themselves by committing to this at the last general election, and then hoping that they could come up with a series of initiatives that would convince those people in those constituencies to either give them the benefit of the doubt when it came to the next election and allow them more time to deal with the issue, or that would make a noticeable change and that people's perceptions in those areas would change. But what we've seen in a whole host of polling is that at the moment people simply don't think that it has made a difference to them, or that they think it's likely to make a difference to them. And this is a problem for the Conservatives if they're to pursue this as a policy. They may, of course, abandon it entirely when the new leader comes in, though I think that's unlikely. But whoever is in charge has to deal with the fact that the dominance, particularly of London, but also of the South more generally, is something that has lasted in this country for well over two millennia, and addressing history in that respect is quite difficult.
And Joe, let's look at the final bit of polling that we've got, still from the Red Wall. And this is all about the economy. And this will be terrible viewing for Conservatives, apparently the party of sound money, that they seem to be behind to the Labour Party on their management of the economy to people in the Red Wall.
Yeah, and the Conservatives have been behind on management of the economy now for a number of months, and indeed it was this that that at least helped to provide the impetus for Boris Johnson's removal, because it has never been the case that a party has come from behind on leadership and come from behind on economic management to win the most seats at a general election. It's never happened in this country. And for months now, the Conservatives have been behind on economic competence and they've been behind on leadership. And the question that the Conservative leadership candidates must face is, do they have answers that will answer the key questions that people have on the economy generally, on inflation, on the cost of living? Because at the moment, the answers that have been put forward as part of the leadership contest, and as I say, they're appealing to a different group, so it might be different once they get into Downing Street, but so far those answers have failed to convince the general public. And if the predictions of energy price rises that we've been hearing about over the last few days are to come true, and we see that bills potentially rise by thousands of pounds in 12 months, the implications for that are enormous. There are reports this morning that there could be a series of rolling blackouts in this country over the winter period because of the drain on energy. If that happens, then the chances of the Conservatives, at least in the short to medium term, recovering their reputation for economic competence, the chance of them moving ahead in those figures seems very unlikely, because as each day goes past, that narrative that Conservatives can't be trusted on the economy simply becomes more and more ingrained. And as I say, these results have essentially not changed. Whether you talk to the Red Wall, whether you talk to the general public, these results have not changed now for months.
OK, Joe Twyman from DeltaPoll, appreciate it. Thank you.